Welcome, Ladan.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here to share a little bit about how Christians in Iran are persecuted. The title I give to my talk is "If Only It Were Just Prison." As you will have heard, there has been tremendous growth in Iran church. Academic research shows there are at least 500,000 Christians in the country from a Muslim background, many more than the ethnic Christian, the Assyrian and the Armenians. Alongside this story of church growth, there is sadly a story of persecution. The reason is simple. The Islamic Republic of Iran tolerate the Armenian and Assyrian who have their own language, but in their mind, Christian from a Muslim background for political and religious reason must not exist. I am one of those Christians who should not exist, for I was born a Muslim. When I was 26, I heard the gospel. I gave my life to Christ, active in house churches in Iran, and soon I was face to face with the government's "you must not exist" policy. In December 2010, I was arrested and I spent 36 days in solitary confinement, being interrogated and threatened. Arbitrary arrest, interrogation under blindfold, threats to your family, solitary confinement, what sum of money for bail to be released. This is full on psychological torture, and it has happened to hundreds of Iranian Christians like me. But now I come to the title of my talk, "If Only It Were Prison." Yes, I was released after 36 days, but once a Christian has come onto the radar of security police, we call etela'at, which means information. You are a marked man or woman. You are not free. So yes, I was out of prison, but etela'at had my number. They would call me regular. I had to report to them to another interrogation and like an interview. They told me I cannot leave my city. I cannot see other Christian. Out of prison, they were controlling a part of my life. And we are human. This created so much anxiety for my family. Whenever my phone went ringing, we would look at each other. What is now? Like everyone else, Christian from Muslim background need education, a career, a place to live. But once you are on the etela'at radar, there is no certainty about what most people take for granted. You are made to feel an alien in your own home. After coming out of prison, I had to find work to pay for my living expenses. A friend got me a job in a company, and for first few days, everything was fine, but Etela'at was watching. They called the company, and that friend who took me for that job, they were taken her for interrogation, for questioning for whole day, and they threatened her. If Ladan if Ladan goes on working here, you will lose your job. Can you imagine how other workers look at me when I went there to work? I was trouble. I was toxic. I couldn't stay. And if Etelaat could do this to this job, to this company, they could do it wherever I went to work. That's the title of my talk. If only it were prison. If only I could have come out of prison and got on with my life in my own country. I know other Christians who have studied hard, but then they have got onto Etelaat's radar and not been given their degree, or professionals like engineers or dentists who have had their license to work revoked. Even parents who have been told they must give up their adopted child. If only it were prison, but it's not. The government do not want us to exist. They want us out of Iran. Once you are on their radar, they strip away from you the basics from a normal life. And like me, many concluded they can only birth normally if they leave Iran. If only it were prison, but it's not. It is often exile, and that is a form of persecution that continues not just for 36 days, but for one's whole life. Prison and interrogation and solitary confinement is grim. Our prayer must be for those suffering this dark journey as I speak. But let us pray for more. Let us pray that the Islamic Republic of Iran will realize it is impossible to deny the existence of people like me. We exist, hundreds of thousands of us. So let us pray that they grant us full legal recognition so we can live and prosper in our own country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ladan, for your very personal testimony and persistent talking. Thank you very much for sharing your emotions with us. Very painful indeed.